Why almost nobody wants to live in California. California, the land of sunshine, beaches, and movie stars. It's also the state that comes with a hefty price tag, extreme weather, and some of the most rugged terrain you can imagine. But despite its beauty, California faces challenges that make it harder for many people to call it home. So why does almost nobody want to live in California? Is it the soaring costs, the extreme weather, or something deeper in its history? Let's break it down.
Number 1. Extreme weather conditions. California is a state known for its sun and surf, but the reality of living here isn't always a beach day. Sure, you've got that perfect weather in coastal cities like San Diego and Los Angeles, but let's be real, these are just the exceptions to the rule. Step into inland California and the story changes. The state regularly experiences extreme weather conditions that can make living here a challenge. For instance, temperatures in cities like Palm Springs can reach over 120 degrees Fahrenheit during the summer, turning your car into a mobile oven and making even walking outside feel like stepping into an inferno. Even worse, these hot spells are becoming more frequent with climate change. But extreme heat isn't the only issue. California is also known for its wildfires. Every summer, hundreds of thousands of acres are scorched by flames, wreaking havoc on homes, infrastructure, and air quality. If you want to live in California's more rural areas, you have to contend with the constant threat of fires, smoke, and the uncertainty of whether your home will be the next one caught in the blaze. And don't forget about California's infamous earthquakes. While they're not a daily concern, the constant fear of the next big one looms over the state, especially in cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles. Earthquakes are unpredictable, and no amount of preparation can fully protect you from the devastation they bring.
Number 2, geographic isolation. California may be a vast state, but getting around in certain areas can make you feel like you're stuck on an island. While the major urban centers like Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Diego are bustling with activity, the rest of the state can be a wasteland of rural isolation. Some areas of California are incredibly remote, and driving to the nearest grocery store or hospital might involve hours of travel on winding, empty highways. Take the town of Death Valley, for example. Located in one of the most isolated regions of California, it's over 100 miles to the nearest sizable city. For many, this geographic isolation is a deal breaker. If you don't have a car or reliable transportation, you're stuck. Public transportation is often sparse in rural areas, and even in the cities, traffic jams are so severe that you can spend hours sitting in your car rather than moving forward. Even the cities themselves have issues with congestion. Los Angeles, for example, is notorious for its traffic with some of the worst commutes in the country. At times, it can feel like you're trapped in a never-ending sea of cars. There's always somewhere to go, but never an easy way to get there.
Number 3, limited economic opportunities. While California is often considered the land of opportunity, its job market isn't exactly easy to crack. Yes, Silicon Valley offers plenty of jobs for tech professionals, and LA is great for those in the entertainment industry, but what if you're not in those high-demand sectors? The reality is that many residents struggle with a lack of job diversity. The state's economy is heavily reliant on industries like tech, entertainment, and agriculture, but it doesn't offer as many opportunities for those in other fields. For example, job growth in the middle class has been sluggish. Wages in California's agriculture and service sectors are low, and despite the high cost of living, the minimum wage doesn't always cover the rent. Many people work multiple part-time jobs just to scrape by. The unemployment rate might be low in some areas, but underemployment is rampant, especially in the rural parts of the state. California's GDP is massive, but that wealth isn't evenly distributed. A huge gap exists between the Silicon Valley elite and the many struggling workers in less glamorous fields. The limited diversity in the job market means that many people looking for stable, middle-class employment end up leaving the state for better-paying jobs elsewhere.
Number 4, high cost of living. Now, let's talk about money. California has some of the highest housing prices in the United States. If you've ever dreamed of owning a home in California, be prepared for sticker shock.
The median home price in California has skyrocketed to over $750,000 as of 2025, nearly double the national average. In places like San Francisco and Los Angeles, home prices are edging toward $1 million, making it practically impossible for many residents to own a home. For renters, it's no better. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in San Francisco is pushing $3,500 a month. Even smaller cities like Fresno and Bakersfield, once considered affordable, have seen rent prices increase by over 30% in the past 5 years. Many residents are forced to live in shared spaces or commute from far-flung suburbs to keep costs down, which, as we already discussed, adds to the nightmare of California's brutal traffic. But housing isn't the only thing that will take a bite out of your paycheck. Gas prices in California are among the highest in the nation, with fuel prices often exceeding $4 per gallon. Utilities, grocery bills, and even day-to-day essentials can cost much more here than in other states, making the overall cost of living one of the most difficult aspects of living in California.
Number 5. Migration patterns and young people leaving. California has long been a magnet for dreamers, but in recent years, more and more people are leaving the state than ever before. In fact, net migration out of California is at its highest in decades. Why are people fleeing? For many, it's a combination of high housing costs, limited job opportunities outside of specific industries, and the relentless pressure of living in a place that often feels out of reach for middle-class families. The trend of brain drain is particularly evident in California, where highly educated young people leave after college for higher-paying jobs in other states. Cities like Austin, Denver, and Seattle are now attracting many of the same people who once dreamed of making it big in California's thriving industries. While California's population continues to grow, it's often at the expense of the younger generations who can't afford to stay. The state's growing population of older residents, combined with fewer young people staying in the state, is causing a demographic shift. As younger generations leave, they're being replaced by older, wealthier retirees, which only exacerbates the state's housing affordability crisis.
Number 6. Rugged terrain and harsh geography. Let's face it, California isn't just about Hollywood and the beaches. The state is home to some of the harshest, most rugged geography in the country. From the towering Sierra Nevada mountains to the arid deserts of the eastern part of the state, California's terrain is not always kind to its residents. The ruggedness of California's geography creates challenges for infrastructure development and even basic daily living. In more remote parts of the state, long distances and rough terrain make it difficult to access basic services. If you live in places like the eastern Sierras, you might be hours away from the nearest grocery store, hospital, or school. California's weather can also wreak havoc on this rough terrain, with wildfires, mudslides, and earthquakes reshaping landscapes and threatening entire communities. While the terrain is undoubtedly beautiful, it's also a major obstacle to building the necessary infrastructure to support large populations. This leaves certain areas of the state isolated, with limited access to services and people living in constant fear of natural disasters. Number 7. Sparse infrastructure and limited services. California's vastness is part of what makes it so appealing, but it also presents a unique set of challenges when it comes to infrastructure. The state's massive size and geographic features mean that providing services like healthcare, education, and basic utilities can be difficult. In rural areas, residents may have to drive for hours just to get to the nearest hospital or grocery store. California's public transportation system is limited to a few urban areas, leaving many without viable alternatives to driving. And for those who rely on public services like healthcare, the state's immense size and geography make it difficult for everyone to get the care they need. California's internet access also lags behind other states, especially in rural and mountainous regions. Despite being home to Silicon Valley, there are large parts of the state where high-speed internet is unavailable, making it difficult for remote workers, students, and even businesses to thrive.
Number 8. Historical settlement patterns.
To understand why California feels so overcrowded in some places and empty in others, you have to look back to its history. California was originally settled during the gold rush, and its early settlement patterns were built around mining towns and small agricultural hubs. Over time, large cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco grew into bustling metropolises, but much of the state remains sparsely populated. In many ways, California's settlement pattern has led to the state's current demographic issues. Many areas are isolated and lack the infrastructure to support modern life. Meanwhile, the large urban areas are feeling the strain of overcrowding, high housing costs, and economic inequality. The historical patterns of settlement in California have created a state where there's vast space in some parts and overcrowding in others. So why does almost nobody want to live in California? It's the extreme weather, the geographic isolation, limited economic opportunities, high cost of living, and harsh terrain that all make it a difficult place to settle. While it's still a beautiful state with plenty of opportunities for those in certain industries, the realities of life in California are enough to make many people look elsewhere. However, if you're up for the challenge, California will always be there, calling you to experience its unique and dramatic lifestyle.